Here are the three, four things I did with my life to manage my time better, which I'll share with you. The first is travel. Many of us, many of you spend a lot of time in traveling. The offices nowadays are far away in cities, and this is one big problem that I am aware of. I must tell you that I was positioned in Bombay. This was in Qualcomm. Uh, Bombay is a very expensive city, but I chose to take up an apartment near the office because to me, my value of my time is very high as compared to the rent I'm paying. So a lot of people would probably take up a house far away and they would commute 1 or 2 hours, and this is normal. To me, that was unacceptable. I said that I'm going to design my life keeping the time that I have close to me, so I'll pay a higher rent. So what I would do is I've always created a simple rule for myself that if I'm working somewhere, I will take up a house or I'll live within 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes max kind of a radius because I can't afford to waste 2 to 3 hours a day going back and forth. That's like about close to 10 to 15% of the day, and I'm wasting it just in sitting and doing nothing. Step number two, I reduced my travel. uh, at School of Meaningful Experiences, we work from home, so there are many days we don't have to come to office, and pandemic became a very big booster in that area. But I've been working from home from 2002, and Intel used to allow us to work from home, so I used to do that 1 day a week, and it is now close to about 3 days a week. I also decline many assignments because of travel. In Bangalore, we have lots of places where I get invited to, and my first request is that I always find out where you are. And if it is way too far, like 2 to 3 hours travel, I just politely decline. I request an online meeting. So I've reduced a lot of my travel and I decline meetings. So please design your life based on travel. That is request number one. And don't spend more than few hours a week on travel because that is criminal waste of your time. Second thing is, now let's look at a very big drain on our time, which is social media and other jazzy things that come around with it. Here's what I did with my life. For me, social media was very important because that was my way of connecting with the world, and I took away the television out of it. So around 10 years ago, my wife and I just disconnected the cable TV. We have never seen those television debates. It's been more than a decade. Those chair dabbe and people shouting at each other. I've forgotten that world completely, and that has really helped me and my family bring a lot of quality time in our lives because that thing is gone now. It was quickly taken over by Netflix and Amazon and other things because these things do creep in, so we've kind of minimized that to about maybe an hour in the evening when we have dinner, but there's no television. We have taken that away. Social media, I have now reduced it to a bare minimum because I'm so busy with my work that I just don't have the luxury of spending time on the social media. Though I must confess कि kabhi kabar when I look at that Facebook reels and Instagram, I get sucked into it for many many minutes. I have to like cajole myself to come out of it because वो चलता ही रहता है and then 2-3 घंटे निकल जाते हैं and then you're like, oh God, I wasted time. So I'm a human being. I do get sucked into it. Then I try and come out of it. So try and minimize. Keep your cell phone away. I've kept my cell phone away for many many hours, and I focus on time. I must also give you one last suggestion, and then I'll give you one or two books that you may want to read. Um, the last suggestion is if you are working in the corporate world, please delegate a lot of these things to others so that you get your chunks of time. If there are meetings you don't want to go to, decline or delegate it to your colleagues or your employees or anybody else so that you don't waste time running around here. There was this very interesting study when I was working in the corporate world, was done in the companies I worked for. They calculated the number of meetings employees attend, and the number of hours employees attend in many corporates is more than 3 quarters of the day. And that is criminal. Something is wrong. If from morning till evening you are in meetings, something is going wrong. That means the company is highly inefficient. And one manager showed me his calendar. His calendar was booked every 30 minutes, multiple times. Now, he probably was showing it to me as a sense of pride. Ki, yaar, I'm such a busy man. I looked at him and said that what a terrible organization, yaar. If you are required everywhere, that means you're the bottleneck. So I think please look at your calendars. In your calendars, there must be some empty slots. And those empty slots are your slots. Please grab them. Don't give it away. This is one thing I admire the academicians. They become so protective about their time कि वो तो किसी से बात ही नहीं करते हैं. Now that's an extreme. So they stop collaborating and corporates are always in meeting rooms. So I think the answer is to come somewhere in the middle. One good suggestion is that in the morning time, block 2 hours. Block your own calendar and say, don't bother me. This is my time. I will do my work here. The remaining time is for meetings and the other time could be for other activities. Make sure that in your day there is some activity and some time that you use for your leisure, physical activity, mental activity, so that you are physically and mentally well or relaxed. You cannot be productive 100% of the time. I think we need to relax. The scientific aspect of that is very strong. There are burnouts, heart attacks, diseases happening because of overworked, very busy human beings. So please space out. In a week, give yourself a day to recharge your batteries. In a day, give yourself an hour or two to recharge your batteries. The more you balance your life, the more productive you are. So I'm going to offer you this simple framework. There are some very simple techniques that I want all of you to just list down all the tasks that you do in a day. So you enter your office, you start emailing, then you start going to meeting, then you go for the coffee, you have breakfast, you talk to your colleagues, then you do other meetings, then you go to the shop floor, do something, then you travel to some customer site. You list down everything, including your driving back to home, what you do at home, exhausted. Let's say you have 100 items that you do in a day. All right. Now comes the next part. Against each item, let's say you have done 100 line items and you make a spreadsheet. Just put the numbers from 1 to 100 and put two more columns. Column 1, put something called priority, and the second is urgency. And a high number would be 10, which is highly important, and a high number of urgency would be 10, which is highly urgent. And against every line item, put a number. So let's say coffee. Is it very important? Maybe you can say 3. And is it very urgent? Maybe 1 or 2, depends on what what kind of day it is. But you get the idea where I'm going with this. That list down, and you do it yourself. You don't have to show it to anyone. List down all the things you're doing in a day, put two more columns, and just number the priority and urgency of each of these tasks. And then divide this entire sheet into these 4 elements. So let me run you through all of this. So this is the, let me put this here. So this is the important part, right? Highly important tasks, not very important tasks. Then highly urgent tasks and not very urgent tasks. So you'll get 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of a framework. And if you have 100 things that you're doing in a day, and if they are falling in this category, 3, that you're doing things which are not urgent and not important, I think you should stop doing them. And I can tell you, many of us spend a lot of time in doing things which are not important and not urgent. For example, thinking about the future. It's not important and not urgent. Writing emails which are not important and not urgent. Sitting with people we don't want to spend time with, not important, not urgent. Sitting in meetings which are not important and not urgent. Traveling to customer sites which are not important and not urgent. So drop all of them. So if you look at this part is the most unproductive. And many of us spend a big chunk of our day here. If you solve this problem, you'll get a lot of relief in your day-to-day activities. What you should focus on is here. You should be spending a lot of time in doing important and urgent things. This one. We don't. So I hope you push all your list here. And in the best case, you go to this one as well. Number 4. And this is called prioritization. This is one thing you must learn if you're a manager or any human being. In fact, at School of Meaningful Experiences, we spend a lot of time in this. We help our learners look at their competence through priority angles. That, hey, are you spending all your time in important and urgent things or not important and not urgent things? And that should give you a big aha moment. And it's a simple grandma's logic. Do things which are important and urgent, and don't do things which are not important and not urgent. Postpone them, even delegate them, or take them away from your life. And this should give you a priority tool to help you run a better life. So, idea number 1, please prioritize and discipline your life. The second thing is, if you have a full plate, don't take any more work. Be assertive. Say no to your clients, say no to your managers, say no to your families. You need to first do what you have signed up for. Many of us don't. We just keep taking more and more and more, and I think that's a bad idea. The third is, please rest a little bit. Every 1 hour, get up, take a break. Every few days, go out somewhere. These are important things. Once a week, you should pamper yourself. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. All of us have our own individual ways of resting, but please rest. Sleep is very important. Rest is very important. Love and self-care is very important. So please do all of that. And the last is, do not push the pedal too much. You'll get burnt out. So work is good, meaningful work is great, but becoming completely consumed by it, becoming almost obsessed by it can be very, very bad. Let me demystify thinking or overthinking using this simple framework which I'm about to show to you right now. So here goes. If you look at this framework that I've created for you, I have now added some kind of a 2 by 2 matrix. Thinking is a normal process which is right here, somewhere in the middle. Now, we can think good things, which is positive thinking, or we can think bad things, which is negative thinking. So this spectrum becomes very interesting, that our mind is capable of going towards the positive side or the negative side, right? So that's the parameter number 1. On the y-axis, I've added one more parameter, that is our thinking meaningful or meaningless. If we are thinking on things which we derive meaningful from, like for example, my work, and if that thinking is helping me, that's a meaningful thought. But if it's completely not connected with what gives me meaning, it's a meaningless thought. So it gives a very different perspective. So this 2 by 2 matrix now has 4 boxes. Box number 1, which is this here, is the zone where we all should focus on. And this zone is, our thoughts are positive and they are meaningful. And this is the zone of creativity. This is what is amazing. This is where great productivity comes. All right. Now let's go to zone number 2. Our thoughts are meaningful, but we are also creating some negative thoughts. For example, you may start getting doubt. You may start feeling that, oh, I don't think I'm in the right direction. And this is the zone of doubt, where our thoughts are negative, but they're still meaningful. As an entrepreneur, I can tell you I'm in this zone a lot. There are days I'm like, what am I doing? Am I doing the right thing? But then if I go back to my purpose and meaning, I'm like, okay, I still have to keep going. And this is the zone of doubt. Let's go to this third zone. This is the danger zone. This is the zone where our thoughts are highly negative, highly toxic, and they're meaningless. And this is the zone of anxiety. This is the most dangerous which I want all of you to focus on. And I think this student who has sent me this question is probably here. You're always anxious about the future. You're worrying, you're stressed. It is now taking a toll on your physical and mental wellness. It can also result in depression. So please take care of yourself in this space, and I'll talk about some tips and techniques. And the last one is this fourth zone, which is very meaningless thoughts, but very positive. To give you a perspective, you are in a happy state, joyful state, playful state, but your thoughts are not directly connected to what you want to do. And I think this is a very important zone as well. And I call it the zone of curiosity. This is where the mind is all over the place. Many psychologists also call it the wandering, ruminating space. And the wandering space is sometimes good because it goes on to this track of curiosity. Why is this happening? What's going on? And we learn more. It's a zone of curiosity. The ideas come from this zone. They may not help us in our entrepreneurship or our job, but they are very productive because we are in a positive side. So what I encourage you to do is look at your question again, that how do we stop overthinking? Let's modify this question. You cannot stop overthinking. But I think you should find thought processes and think positively and meaningfully. And if you're in the zone of positivity but less meaningfulness, that's also fine because those are the zones of curiosity and creativity. Both zones are very good. And I hope you go from here to here. The problem is that we all end up here, this zone. We start doubting ourselves. The thoughts become negative. They start becoming toxic, and we fall from here to here, which is anxiety, always worrying about the future, always worrying about our decisions. And because of that, we sometimes take bad decisions because it's always about toxicity, negativity, and fear. And we never improve. And not only we do meaningless things, but we're also stressing ourselves out and damaging our lives. Imagine you have a car and the car is going round in circles and completely exhaust all its fuel and it might just be useless. This is what this zone is all about. So, my dear students and all of you working out there, this is a bad zone. And if you're in this zone, please do something about it. The first is you must talk to someone about it, even write a diary, make it voluntary. Don't stop your thoughts. The problem is many of us stop our thoughts. Don't stop our thoughts. Let it flow. And voluntary thoughts are better. Talk to someone. Please go to a psychiatrist or a therapist because this is a zone of depression. This is a zone of anxiety and it might get worse for you. So please talk to someone. And zone number three is a bad idea. If you're in this zone, please stop right now and take someone's help. If you're in zone number two, where you are thinking, doubts are coming. It's normal. It's very normal for all of us to have doubts. Many of us who love to do our work, sometimes we question ourselves that are we in the right direction? Those thoughts are very important. Nothing wrong in it. So when you are experiencing negative thoughts, but you feel that I am doing something meaningful, it's time to rest. Pause. Take a break. Here, you need to stop. Zone number three, completely stop. But zone number two, I think you should pause. Take a break, distract yourself, rest a little bit. It's very important. If you're in zone number four, which is you are in the zone of curiosity, you have positive thoughts, but you are doing meaningless things, you're wandering. Fine, do that, but act. Many of us don't act. This is where you should take your ideas and do something about it. Don't just sit there. Those ideas will go away. So act on it. And the last is if you're in the zone one, which is the ultimate zone where you are thinking positively and you are doing something meaningful. This is the zone of creativity. Do more. Don't stop. Press on. And all of this comes with a pinch of salt. So I'm not trying to say that you must burn yourself, but this framework will help you understand overthinking better. That if you're overthinking, but it is in the positive direction and you're doing something meaningful about it, that's creativity, innovation. Do that more. If you are in a zone of positivity but not doing something meaningful, that's curiosity. Act on it. But if you're in a zone of negativity but doing something meaningful, that's doubt. So pause and rest. And if you're in a zone where you are negative, toxic, and completely doing meaningless things, which is nothing but overthinking, overanalyzing, paralyzing, stop right now and ask for help. To me, this framework is something I use all the time. Overthinking is not bad, but overthinking negative thoughts on completely meaningless things is terrible. So please stop. Overthinking and having negative thoughts but doing something meaningful is doubt. So pause and rest and come to the positive side. And that positive side is the zone of curiosity and creativity where you will bring out the best of your work. Take care of yourself.